Fieldhouse and Gregory Arena on the campus of North Central College. Tonight's non-conference women's basketball game is between the Piedmont College Lions and your North Central College Cardinals. Ladies and gentlemen, this time I ask that you please rise, face the flag above the west end of the court, and join the North Central Athletic Band under the direction of Dr. Sean Kelly as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. And now, let's meet tonight's starting lineups. First, we're visiting Lions from Piedmont College. Starting the guard line of 5'5" freshman number 0, Amari Price. A 5'8" sophomore guard, number 1, Jatasia Bailey. A 5'5" junior guard, number 4, Bridget Kelly. The other guard, a 5'6" junior number 13, Carly Shields. And in forward, a 5'11" junior number 25, Dakota Sellers. The Lions are coached by Jamie Murray, assisted by Grant Cochran.
Welcome into a brand new season of Cardinal basketball. It begins tonight, North Central College and Piedmont College, all the way from Alabama, taking the journey up north to Naperville, and inside Gregory Arena we are, the season opener for NCC. Hello and welcome to another season of Cardinal basketball on NCTV 17. I'm Kevin Jackman. I'll be joined shortly by Joe Olmo. What an exciting night it is. Cardinals come in with high expectations this season. They come in with a preseason ranking inside the CCIW at number 3. Opening tip won by Jamie Cooney. Now let's get to tonight's starters, but first a 3 attempt from Cooney, and it's out of bounds, no good. For the visiting Piedmont Lions, it's Amari Price, Jatasia Bailey, Carly Shields, and Brianna Barrett as the 4 guards. Dakota Solons is the lone forward underneath the basket. She gets the ball and lays it up for the first basket of the night. Stripped, stolen, fight for it on the floor, jump ball. That'll be won by Piedmont, with the Cardinals having won the opening tip. I'd like to remind you that although these are the starters, they will not be getting starters minutes. North Central playing very fast. They like to use the entire bench, and we will try our best to introduce each and every player over the course of the night. There are north of 20 players on this roster, and you can see them all on the right side of your screen right now. A much larger bench than a year ago. Big incoming freshman class as Mason Whipple steals it away. The second team All-CCIW player from a year ago misses the fast break layup. Cardinals get the offensive board. Pass from Cooney intended for Selena Juarez is intercepted, and now Piedmont comes up with it. We've already talked about Jamie Cooney, the senior returning for a final campaign. Mason Whipple joining her, led the team in points per game a year ago at just north of 13. Miranda Grizafi, a senior. Selena Juarez was a freshman a year ago, and on the third line, she's been elevated to that first group. So she's now a starter. Paula Zarante rounds out that first 5. Now a new 5 take the floor. The drive to the basket. Left-handed layup is up, and it's good. Lindsey Brennan with the basket. A freshman from Trenton, Michigan. Number 10, a 5'7" guard. Also in right now, Natalie Dimitrova, a freshman from Wheeling, Buffalo Grove. She's currently guarding on the baseline. Piedmont will have to try their best to keep up. Bridget Kelly has checked into the game. She's the one set to inbound. Long pass, a couple of bounces, but it finds its destination. Down low, and it's off the hands of Solons. Into the corner, thrown across the court. Trying to catch the Cardinals on the weak side of the defense, doesn't work. And that one's stolen away, and that was almost a backcourt violation on Manny McHugh, another freshman from Chicago. Went to Marist. A lot of freshmen getting some early minutes. That one thrown away. Michelle Roof, the closest one there, and a third line change for NCC. And we're just a few minutes into this game. Kayla Reedy into the game. A returner. And Caroline Heimerdinger into the game as well. The lefty gets it down low. Shot outside. Reedy lines up a 3. Off the backboard, no good. Offensive board, Heimerdinger. Outside, quick, shifty feet. Down low. Basket up and good. (4-2). Home team on top. Offensive board, Solons tries to kick it out. No open look there. Gets it underneath. Solons tips it, gets it right back. Swinging it around the horn. Lots of ball movement. 3 from the wing, no good. Pulled down by Reedy. Pressed ahead. Heimerdinger stops, kicks, shot from the wing. 3 off the back of the iron, no good. Shot missed by Maya Walls. Yet another freshman from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thrown out of bounds, and the Cardinals will return to their starting group. Timeout taken by Piedmont. First of the first half, and we'll step aside with them. We'll be right back on NCTV 17. Mason Whipple back into the game, and she breaks a 3-person press all by herself in a personal foul. First team foul on either team. 7:24 to play, first quarter. Remember, a year ago, the decision to go away from halves and instead to 4 quarters. The men still play 2 halves. Cooney on the outside, looked at a shot, passed it up. Near side, Whipple a 3. The first of many in the 2016-2017 campaign for North Central. Shot no good off the left side of the rim. Cooney the board and gets it out in front to Whipple. 7-2, the home team leads. Zarate lines up a 3, back of the iron. Cooney pulled down the board, but then lets it rip. Solon's with the interception. That one's picked off. And now Whipple sets it out for herself. Left-handed layup, banks it in and good. Mason Whipple with 5 early points. A season ago, not just led the team with 13 points per game, but led the conference in assists per game. That one left short by Solons. A nice move underneath the basket on the reverse layup. Couldn't get it to drop. Whipple met by a wall. That one skips off the front of the rim after banking off the backboard. Cooney, lone defender back, and that one's no good. Missed in transition by the Lions, and now a substitution timeout called by NCC, and already Piedmont looks pretty gassed. 6:01 to play, first quarter. Right now, Jatasia Bailey searching for air. Right back on the attack, Lindsey Brennan down low, through the hands and out of bounds of Megan Sellers. That'll be the Lions basketball. Long outlet pass. Solons goes across court to the top. Shields to the wing, incomplete. On the shot attempt is Jatasia Bailey. That was last touched by a Cardinal defender, so it'll be Lion basketball right in front of the bench. Guarding will be Megan Sellers. Nice touch pass underneath the basket, and Solons leaves it just short. Great look, an open look. McHugh lines up a 3 and finds only the back half of the backboard. Right back with it. Near side, Anita Sterling, the first time we've called her name tonight. She's a senior, back after a very productive year. And a jump ball will go to North Central underneath the basket. Cardinals make yet another fresh 5 change. Well, typically this would be a pretty hot ticket around campus, but there is somebody by the name of Bernie Sanders next door. And when we arrived about an hour and a half ago, there was a line stretched across and behind Res Rec, and going out maybe 20 minutes before the game, the line had then wrapped back around and up Brainerd, up the hill. Sanders, of course, at one point the Democratic contender for the presidential nominee. He's speaking just across the way at the Res Rec Center. Another jump ball. This one will go to Piedmont. And I mentioned that about Bernie Sanders because parking around campus, and for that matter, for around Naperville, pretty sparse, and that is the reason why my broadcast partner tonight is just a bit tardy. As we welcome Joe Olmo to the broadcast booth. That shot up and no good, a traveling violation. I mentioned this off the top, but Naperville Sports Weekly's host, Joe Olmo, now joins us. Good evening, Joe. How's it going?
Good evening, Kevin Jackman. It is a madhouse trying to find parking in downtown Naperville right now.
Well, it's a Friday night, and a well-known political figure is in town, so that's a bad combination.
Yes, it is.
Third basket of the night for Piedmont. Here comes Caroline Heimerdinger into the lane. The lefty shot, no good. It looked like a lot of contact was drawn by number 4.
I would not be surprised if we saw a late arriving crowd for tonight's game because of what you just mentioned, Mr. Barry Sanders being here. And
Don't know how long he's talking, but if it's maybe an hour, some of those fans from just across the way might leak into Murner
I
Fieldhouse.
wouldn't see why not. It's just, a little hop, skip, and a jump away.
Speaking of hot tickets, tomorrow, and I'll remind you this over the course of the night, first round of the Division III NCAA football playoffs, North Central hosting Rose-Hulman, the Fightin' Engineers, at noon at Benedetti Worley Stadium. And we'll be broadcasting that right here on NCTV 17 as Jamie Cooney lines one up, too strong, back of the iron, pulled down by Piedmont and thrown away off the far sideline.
Just quickly talking about that football game tomorrow, it is going to be quite the scene. It's been a while since North Central hosted a playoff game, let alone been in a playoff game a couple of years now. So the way that this team has played 10-0 on the season, you got to like their chances in their first round matchup. Second round matchup, maybe another another familiar opponent, I'd say. But get through this first week and see where you can go from there.
It'll be interesting tomorrow. That one thrown away again. Cardinals will have it on the baseline on their side of the court. You talk about Rose-Hulman, first time they've qualified for the playoffs after an 8-2 season. A shocking win over Franklin allowed them to claim the conference and the automatic bid. So they're 8-2. North Central hosting a game for the first time since 2013. Their last playoff game, that epic 41-40 game up in Alliance, Ohio, in which they lost to the perennial powerhouse that is Mount Union. So a lot of storylines, and Grant Sabo and I will bring you all the action on NCTV 17 tomorrow, again at noon Eastern, rather Central Time, not Eastern.
No. While we have a minute here during the line change, you talked about it on the Red Zone with Coach Thorne, the common opponent in Milliken. He dismissed that right away, obviously because of early season, differences in the teams now and then. But how do you think that those two actually do stack up the quality of win in the Milliken game?
Shannon Ryan with a quick basket. It's an 11-6. You look at that, and it was too early in the season. It was only their second game. They came off a loss against Illinois College in that opening game, 14-13. So it was just a one-point ball game, and then they take down Milliken. So keep in mind, North Central, who had a very good team last year, they were trailing Milliken going into the fourth quarter down at Decatur. So it's not like you can say that they should have blown out Milliken, who they have brought it a couple of times this year. That might have just been one of those days. Keep in mind, that Franklin team they beat was, at the time, ranked 14th in the nation.
Yeah.
Piedmont, Brianna Barrett, near side, makes a nice spin move to the basket. Underneath, then banks off. Here come the Cardinal on the attack. 3:14 to play, opening quarter. To the basket, McHugh lets it rip. That one is no good. The foul drawn. Heading to the line will be Natalie Dimitrova. Lots of freshmen on this team. A big incoming class for Michelle Roof, who last year, she wants to play this up-tempo system. But in order to do that, you need bodies, and not just bodies, but players that can actually shoot. So they hit the pavement hard, recruiting-wise, went out and got themselves some very good freshman players. And we've already seen almost all of them tonight.
Yeah, I mean, only 4 seniors on this roster. So, the kids, as you can call them, I guess, are going to get playing time. And right now, I mean, obviously non-conference action to start the season here, but a good chance to really find out what they can do in this kind of up-tempo offense. Probably something that they weren't used to in high school ball.
Miss from the corner, Aaron Clifford. Offensive board, though, for the Lions. Clifford gets it right back, double teamed, and Anita Sterling comes up with a steal, and she gets rammed from behind. Bit slow to get up. Cardinals have been very active in the passing lanes tonight, and they have plenty of steals to show for it. Already 4 this evening. And we're at 2:49 to go in the first quarter. A new line change will sit and wait as the officials have yet to clear them to leave the floor. Now they're saying, just stay there. We got 2 of them. We got 2 of them coming up. In the bonus we go, and Anita Sterling at the line. First one is no good. Now they get to substitute in at least 4. Waiting will be Maya Walls, who will check in for Sterling after what she hopes to be a make, and it is, and Sterling checks out. 14-6 opening quarter. Cardinals have come out in their signature form, blitzing this Lions team.
Well, and they're also playing a man-to-man full court press, which is going to obviously make it really difficult to get into your offense if you're Piedmont. So getting just across half court is going to be a challenge for them, let alone just getting into their offensive set. Obviously down 8 already.
Keep in mind, this was a very good team a year ago. Left-handed layup, up and good. Nice high difficulty shot from Ciara O'Neal, a sophomore who returns after a year in the rotation of players to have made an impact. Kicked out. 3 from straight away. Karam's off the rim and to the far sideline.
Yeah, if you're Aaron Clifford, you have to make those shots when you have wide open looks at the top of the key like that.
Shot up, no good, too strong, batted around. Another offensive board for Piedmont, now a fight for it. And Heimerdinger able to win it for the Cardinals, and they're back on offense. But keep in mind, this Lions team a year ago, 20-8 to the rim, and an offensive foul drawn by Michaela Reedy. That's the Cardinals, just their 2nd foul of the first quarter. So this is no lightweight. They were 13-3 in the USA South Conference. And they come in, and their head coach, a high pedigree, Jamie Purdy, 194 and 101, her career record in 12 years at the helm of this program. And they have looked slow, and that's very easy to do when you come in to Gregory Arena against this team. But the Cardinals look like they're on top of their form right now.
Well, you mentioned it, the way that Coach Roof likes to change out an entire lineup every couple minutes. It is a hockey mentality where you're keeping bodies fresh, keep running them in and out, get them water, get them back in there. That does wear on a team that is not used to seeing that kind of up-tempo from multiple players, not just 5 or 6, 7 players at a time.
Pass from Whipple to Juarez was picked off, and now Lions back on O. That one's blocked by Paula Zarante, and they're going to say that was last touched by 32. Out of play, but a nice play defensively from the senior guard.
That was a great rotation. I mean, you get back in transition on defense, get into your zone, but then you also have to get into the corner, and Zarante did a really nice job of closing on the corner 3 there and making a nice block.
After a couple of pretty tough years to open up her career coaching at North Central, the last few years have seen the career record come close to evening out. And now Michelle Roof is just 5 wins away from being at 500, and it's really a testament to the transformation from the previous way of running this team to now, which was a conventional way of playing offense and defense, to this up-tempo, constant, non-stop blitz of offense and backcourt press.
Well, it's also getting the right women in here to buy into that system. You know, most of these girls coming into from high school probably were stars on their teams at some point. Obviously, you know, getting a D3, you know, chance to play in college basketball, they were good enough to play at the high school level. So now they have to figure out how to play where they're not constantly on the court, and learn how to play off the bench, because that's basically what everybody's doing. No one's actually staying on the court for 30 minutes a game.
And good, thank goodness for that. That is an offensive charge taken by Anita Sterling, who just moments earlier got called for the traveling violation. On the foul is Cheryl Miller. But you talk about the fast tempo offense and players not playing 30 minutes and getting into that rhythm. That's got to be difficult as a shooter. 3 from the wing is overshot. Now it's thrown outside. Sterling back with it. Down low and tipped away. Under a minute to play. Here come the Lions on a fast break chance. That one's off the front of the rim after bouncing off the backboard. Pushed out in front. That ball stolen away but out of play. It was Natalie Dimitrova who was well out in front.
You mentioned, trying to find a rhythm, offensively, shooting-wise. I mean, I think that's where, the warm-ups are probably the most important part of the game, is being able to find your shot.
Three from the wing, no good.
So that when you do get in and you do get a chance to put the ball in the air, that you're feeling confident in what you're doing, because you're not going to, field goal percentage isn't going to be there with this team. We can see that from last year's team, to this year's. You're not going to have, the women go 7 of 8, from the field, per person. It's just not going to happen. So it's getting in underneath, getting the rebounds, making sure you're in position to box out your player if you need to, and then just go from there and see if you can make some shots and really put the pressure on the other team to play up tempo.
Nobody home on the back half of the defense, and an easy layup converted by Amari Price, who's back into the game after starting the opening quarter. 30 ticks left. Cardinals with a 16-8 lead. And that one thrown out of bounds.
Sorry, Kevin. I was looking over at Coach Roof after that, that easy layup there, and she was not happy with the way that, things were going on the backside of that defense, like you mentioned. Just an easy layup. You can't have that. You don't want to have that in the last minute of this quarter.
21 seconds left, and it's a Lion possession coming up. Usually there's a 4-man press and 1 player back, and right now that role belongs. That one's up and good by Michaela Reedy.
That was a wonderful steal. She got her hand in there. As Mr. Eric Gruber likes to say, taking the cookies
out of the cookie jar.
Out of the cookie jar. Oh, my.
That one's thrown away. 6.5 seconds left in this first quarter, and the Cardinals will make a quick change back to their A team.
That cookie was thrown in the garbage.
That cookie was burnt. 6.5 seconds might be too much time for this Cardinal offense to have to try and wind the clock down as, Whipple loses it. The shot off to the right of the backboard, no good. Out of the hands of Price, and after one, it's an 18-8 score with Piedmont trailing the Cardinals in North Central's season opener. So new 10 minutes up on the clock. Both teams will get a quick breather. I think Piedmont right now probably needs it more than the Cardinals do. Just a few minutes into this game, I looked at Jatasia Bailey, a starter, and she looked like she had just played 40 minutes.
That's what this offense is going to do to you. Cardinals like to get out and run. We all talk about. We all see it every time we come out here for these games, and it's got to be a little bit of a culture shock when you come in here to Gregory Arena and you see that you have to constantly keep moving. There's never a chance to really take a breather, never a chance to, collect your thoughts and really figure out what you got to do next, because you're constantly on the run, whether it's defense or offense. Because on defense, you have to play 90 feet. On offense, you're getting pressure in the backcourt the entire time.
You're still in football mode,
I'm
partner.
in football mode, man. I can't wait. Tomorrow's gonna be fun. So just finding a way to really strategize how you're going to attack North Central is a lot different from any other type of environment that you're used to. So we'll see if the Lions can make any sort of adjustments in the second quarter. But if you're North Central, you just keep doing what you're doing. Keep the pressure on. Keep turning the ball over, making some shots when you can, and you're in good position, up 10 right now going into the second.
I want to go back to an earlier conversation. You talked about not having the best shooting percentage in the nation. Actually, really poor shooting percentage. 36% last year, and here's a beautiful contradiction, if there is such a thing. They also led the nation in scoring. So a 36% field goal percentage is definitely in the lower percentile of most teams. and yet here they are as the most prolific offense in the country.
Well, and here comes our football jargon. This is where you want to always try and get the most points every time you get a possession. So when you're in a position to score, you have to score, and the more times that you have opportunities to score, you're gonna put up points. So any chance, like when you see in football, they're always in an up tempo. They're trying to. The play clock doesn't go any lower than 15 seconds nowadays in D1, D2 football. So the same concept here. You want to get as many possessions as you can, and that's why North Central scores 100 points on average, because they're constantly throwing up shots. Whether they go in or not, that's a different story.
Well, in that opening quarter, just one three-pointer fell for the Cardinals. That is certainly not to the norm, as Jamie Cooney will take a three. That's too strong. As the steal taken and a travel on, was it Mason Whipple? So went down to the ground. Whipple with by far the best quarter offensively, 5 points, leads the team, 2 of 4 shooting. Also kind of running the show offensively, thrown out of bounds, and it's a Cardinal basketball.
Yeah, but you get you're getting the senior leadership from Jamie Cooney with 6 rebounds, 3 on offense, 3 on defense. That's where you really need to shine in this kind of offense, is we're on the boards. If you can do that, obviously she's had quite the career here at North Central, so she knows what she's doing. She's leading by example with not scoring because she hasn't put up any points, but doing it on the boards.
Zarante to the hole, kicks it out. Grizafi a 3, no good. Now they're 1 for 13 from behind the arc. As Whipple challenges, and who is that last touch by? Will be off of Whipple and out of play, but a nice job defensively getting back and forcing the issue.
You don't want to give up any easy baskets when you don't have to. If you think you can make a play without getting a foul call on you, that's great hustle there to get back on defense. Now your defense can set up and hopefully get a stop here.
9:21 to go in the second quarter. Season opener for North Central. Piedmont has played a game. Came away with a 13-point victory. That coming against Birmingham Southern. The final in that one, 52-39. Another miss from behind the three-point line. Sterling the offensive board. O'Neal goes to work, and too much contact, the whistle blows.
What I liked about that right there was, Sterling pushing the tempo, but going to the rim and then being able to kick out to Shannon Ryan for that open look. If they can start knocking down some of these shots, good things are going to happen for North Central.
Sterling loses it off her own foot. Near side, here's McHugh, another 3 after missing one just moments earlier. She was short on one and long on the other, so she gets it back right here. Maybe got it right in the middle, and an over-the-back foul called on North Central.
Yeah, Dimitrova. How do you say that?
Natalie Dimitrova.
Dimitrova, thank you. Still learning names here.
Well, there's only 30 of them, so I don't know. Bound to mess up one.
Anyway, yeah, she could be the tallest girl on the court, but if you're leaning into the defender, you're going to get called for that.
Pressed up ahead. Sullins underneath the basket, gets the bucket to drop, and one. Will go to the line to try and make it a three-point play. We have some members of the men's basketball team behind us. The men come in as one of the nation's projected leaders. D3Hoops.com has them ranked 13 in their annual preseason poll. And I believe Sporting News was much higher on the Cardinals. They've ranked them 6th in the nation. High praise, and it's well-deserved. They only had 2 main contributors depart, and Jamie Cooney, no, Jamie Moten and Kevin Hahn. And some very capable replacements are waiting in the wings, and some more transfers have joined the program. Kicked out, and that's a travel call on Caroline Heimerdinger. The men's team will return all-conference selections in Alex Sorensen and Connor Reardon, both of which were selected to the All-American preseason team. Sorensen, a first-teamer. Reardon, an honorable mention. keep in mind, Sorensen's just a junior, I believe, and Raridan is a sophomore. Out, Grizafi, a three, bounces off the front of the rim, no good. Nearly taken away. That one's off the hands of Whipple. 7:53 to play, second quarter of game number 1 of the 2016-2017 North Central basketball season. Underneath, Solons kicks out, wide open three from the far wing. In and out, no good. Pulled down by Grizafi. Ahead to Zarante. Zarante blitzes out in front and blocked from behind by Solons. Recovered by Cooney. And now Whipple into the lane. Floater, no good. Cardinals have yet to score in the second quarter. 18-10. Lions, only ones with a basket. That one is no good, and tracked down by Zarante, but loses it off the baseline. And a new 5 will check in for North Central.
Yeah, we're just under 3 minutes into the second quarter. Only 2 points put up by both teams combined. First game for the for North Central. Early season, still trying to work out the kinks a little bit. I'm not sure, but you got to start making some shots eventually. You're getting plenty of open looks if you're North Central. You just got to start finding ways to knock them down because you don't want to give Piedmont any sort of thought that they can come back in this game. They're only down 8 right now.
Foul drawn by Shannon Ryan. That is the third team foul of this second quarter. Certainly not what we're accustomed to seeing from this North Central team. Although it should be expected with so many new faces,
right,
and there's not a single line of players that are complete 1 through 5 that have played together before. Foul committed by Maddie McHugh, freshman from Marist, underneath the basket. That is the 4th team foul. They're dangerously close to bonus now, just 3 minutes into the second quarter. Batted down. Lions got it right back, but Sterling strips it away. One-man wrecking crew to the basket, leaves it short. Piedmont comes up with it. Now they're on the fast break. Shot off the backboard is good, and Piedmont has the only 2 baskets of the second quarter.
Yeah, that was a nice adjustment by Carly Shields there. That pass was well ahead of her.
3 will rattle home, and maybe that will spark the Cardinals. Anita Sterling gets the shooter's touch. Whipped underneath the basket. The extra pass is almost picked off, and now the extra pass is. And I believe that is a traveling violation on the Lions. That was certainly an interesting exchange right there.
Well, you can see what they were trying to do. They wanted to try and get, once they got the steal, they were going underneath, trying to get a quick 2, but, maybe a little too quick for their own comfort, which is strange to say, but, slow it down a little bit and see what you got there.
3 from straight away is up, and it's good. Ciara O'Neill, the sophomore, with a triple. So after going 4 minutes without a basket, they hit back-to-back triples to once again double up the Lions. Aaron's shot pulled down by NCC. Heimerdinger. Reedy, a 3, makes it 3 in a row.
You mentioned it, the Sterling 3, maybe that might spark something. Obviously, it has 3 in a row now from behind the arc. This is a little bit more of what we expected to see out of North Central. Now you just took a 6-point lead and made it 15 really quick.
It's kind of an old adage, and it's been overused, but shooters need to see the ball go in. And It was almost as if the whole team, because it really is a team full of shooters, needed to see the ball go in. They did, and now they've hit 3 straight.
I mean, it was one of those. It wasn't a pretty one to go in from Sterling. It, bounced around the rim a little bit, but like you said, once it goes in, that's all that matters. And I think that's gaining the confidence for all 5 of the women on the court is a big deal for them.
At least they realize that, no, there's not a lid
There's no
on the
cap.
basket. Piedmont did not put a glass piece of board over that hoop because for a while it just seemed like everything went in and out. 27-12, first free throw missed. Second one is good. Ahead to Reedy. Reedy kicks it outside. O'Neal wants another three and gets it. Second for O'Neal, fourth consecutive make for the Cardinals. 30-13. Clanks off the underneath portion of the rim. North Central has turned on the Jets midway through the second quarter. A deep three and another make. Oh my! Maya Walls. Here's another three, and finally a miss, and that one's from O'Neal. Heimerdinger gets the ball poked away after a reach around, but what a streak that was. Reedy trying to start a new streak, and the crowd to the left of us
and the right of us. I was watching the entire crowd. Everyone, you don't see it on the broadcast, but they are just getting up excited to see these three-pointers going in. That was quite the string for North Central to get on a roll. Like we said, that was a 6-point lead with about 6.5 left in the half. It's now a 20-point lead with 4:46 to go.
With 6:30, as Piedmont will take a timeout. 6:30 in the second quarter, the Cardinals had yet to score. It was 18-12. Not even 3 minutes later, Cardinals have ripped off 15 straight. Piedmont, a single point.
It's unbelievable. You know, this team we know can get hot, and we've seen it in past years. Obviously, being the first game of this year, you know, we haven't got a chance to see what this crew could do. A lot of young faces, a lot of young players on this team. Now really get a chance to see what they can do. And as you said it, once that Sterling shot went in, it opened up the floodgates for the rest of the team to say, hey, okay, we can do this too.
Cardinal band playing off to the left of us. I guess I never really realized. You hear the band. You certainly hear the band. But for years, they didn't make much of a difference to the atmosphere. It was a very small piece band. But recently, they have quadrupled in size, and you can hear the difference. Tremendous noise, and it's a lot of fun. Actually, I talked to Coach Jeff Thorne, the head football coach, and he's like, man, those guys are rocking. The steal and the bucket underneath the basket, Paula Zarante. 35-13. Underneath,
nice
and
block.
that one's short, tipped away. No look pass to the perimeter, a three, clanks off the back of the iron, no good. Pulled down by Grizzoffi.
I want to hear more from Coach Thorne, but right now it's just us offense is lighting it up. You can't really get a chance to talk.
Miranda Grizzoffi with the three, and here's a really interesting note on Grizzoffi. A foul called on the Cardinals. She attempted, let me just get the exact number correct, 183 three-pointers last year. So 183 three-pointers, she attempted 185 shots, period. So only 2 of her shot attempts came from inside the arc last season.
So what that means to me is that if you're not guarding her on the perimeter, you're not doing your job.
You're doing something wrong.
Because she's not going to take a shot inside that arc. That black line, she's on the other side of it. You know, she's outside of that line shooting away. So 183 out of 185, that's quite the stat.
Now, let's also talk about the fact that she made 64 of those, which breaks the record that was set, or I take that back, 65 she made, breaking the record of 64, which was set 15 years earlier in the 2000-2001 season here at North Central. Whipple blocked underneath by Sullins. Sullins by far having the most impactful first half for Piedmont, but yet she has struggled underneath the basket. 3 for 6 overall, but she's had some open looks. That's her second block of the night. Cooney with a three-point basket, and that's an encouraging sign as she struggled in the early portion of the season last year with that outside stroke. We know her blocking prowess.
Yes.
A school record 91 a year ago, led the conference with 3.7 a game. But offensively, if she can get going from deep, boy, does that add a whole new dimension to this team. Foul called, the Cardinals well into bonus. 7th team foul of the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, she's 6'2". Jamie Cooney is, the tallest player on the court for both teams here. And most of the time, it's going to be the tallest player on the court when she's on the court. But like you said, defensively and, underneath, we know she could do with the blocking and the rebounds. But like you said, if you can step out and hit that shot, we saw it on the men's side last year a lot. With the big men. Sorensen going ahead and shooting threes. Cooney basically can do the same thing. That really puts a little wrinkle into the offense that, other teams are not sure what to do with it.
Brianna Barrett knocks down 1 of 2 at the free throw line. 41-14. Lefty layup goes wayward for Sterling, but she draws enough contact to warrant a whistle. 3:29 to play second quarter. The Cardinals with a massive lead after leading only by 6 just 3.5 minutes ago. Not real time, game time. That would be something. That'd be some Tracy McGrady stuff.
I mean, it was close.
Pretty close.
It was like a minute worth where they scored 9 points.
12
points.
4 straight. Capped off by Sierra O'Neal, who hit 2 of those 4. Foul committed and more free throws coming for Piedmont. You talk about coming into this environment being a little bit shell-shocked. How about not just having to come in here and getting run back and forth like a dog at a dog park, but also taking a bus trip from Alabama. That's where Piedmont is from. They came all the way up from Alabama, and there's a good reason. This is the first meeting between the two schools. They're kind of far away.
Just a little bit. I mean, that is quite the haul to come from the south like that. I mean, I'm not sure how many miles, hundreds of miles that is, but that's quite a drive, and that will take a toll on you when you're on a bus for that long.
Finally, a three-pointer falls for Piedmont, 42-18. You want to talk about some mileage as Sterling watches as she drains the 3, 45-18. Cardinals will be making the longest trip they can possibly make and stay within the boundaries of the United States when they head to Honolulu, Hawaii, come winter break. They get to play a couple of games.
You're not going to be there, are you?
Oh, I wish. Chapman University in Occidental in Honolulu, Hawaii on December 19th and 20th. If they had invited me, I would have already booked my ticket and my hotel room.
And then I would have just been in your storage and in your bag going along with you. Sorry, Liz. But
that should be a lot of fun for them to head out to Hawaii.
Now, you're a North Central grad. You've kind of followed the programs throughout your time. So is that the farthest that this program has gone as far as
this particular
distance?
program? Yes. The football team this past summer traveled to Scotland.
Yes, they've been
across seas a couple of times playing European teams. Not just playing them, but beating them pretty good, mind you. So it is a precedent for Cardinal teams to head abroad, but, I mean, that's a lot of fun, Hawaii.
Well, it's going to be really nice exposure, too, for the North Central program, not just to go out there for the women on this team to go and have a little mini vacay as well as get out there and play some basketball, but it's good for the programs to get the exposure to maybe for recruiting purposes.
West Coast?
Yeah.
A little bit. Opens up the possibility. Cardinals have almost exclusively Illinois-born players. Lindsey Brennan is a Michigan native, while Maya Walls is up from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Those are the only 2 non-Illinois natives. That one was out of bounds off of Heimerdinger. That one will go off of Michaela Reedy.
You mentioned that they're Piedmont's from Alabama. That's why I had to do a double check because most of their girls are from Georgia. So that's, I mean, in D3 you have to find players, and that's why I think that trip to Hawaii is going to be a big deal for them, because if you can find a girl, that's going to be a big recruiting factor down the road, not just for next year, but for years to come.
You point out something very important. They are not from Alabama. They are from Georgia.
Okay.
I got
okay.
that mixed up. Huntingdon, who's playing Wheaton this weekend, is an Alabama team.
Okay.
Too many games to prepare for. A couple of crossed wires.
I'm glad that we cross-checked that because there's a lot of Georgia.
It'd be very strange if they were an Alabama team that exclusively scouted Georgia.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe they were like on the border of Alabama, Georgia, you know that.
It is Demorest, Georgia, the hometown of Piedmont, which makes a lot more sense.
We apologize to Piedmont for thinking they were in Alabama.
Floated up there, and it will rattle home. Bucket for Carly Shields, the junior guard from Hoax Bluff, Alabama. And that is a true Alabama, I promise.
It's the only Alabama.
Over the back foul on Michaela Reedy. That is her second. And once again, Piedmont will shoot free throws. And free throws have really slowed down this second quarter after the 5-minute mark, as North Central has gone into bonus. And that is the bane of Michelle Roof's existence is free throws, because the whole point of having an up-tempo attack is trying to wind your opponent. And when they get breaks like this, it defeats the purpose.
A couple minutes ago, I saw one of the girls for Piedmont on the blocks there trying to catch her breath during one of the free throw attempts. And that's exactly what she said. You know, the whole point is to just wear them down physically, and mentally for that matter. But, you know, when you give them that 30 seconds of break time here for these two free throws, it does make a difference on the court.
47-22. LaCara Lawson with 1 of 2 from the charity stripe. That one rolls up and good. Mason Whipple with the basket. 49-22. $1:35 to go here in the first half.
Now you're from around here, obviously. Where's the furthest you've gone on vacation? Has it been Honolulu?
Vacation?
Yes.
California.
Have you been to California?
The farthest trip with North Central
Yes.
to broadcast was also California.
What was
That one's
that?
off the left side of the rim. It was the opening day game against Redlands for the football team. And then I believe I took a trip out to Cal Lutheran as well with the football team back in 2012.
Okay.
I did not make the following trip to Linfield, which was quite tough, and they ended up losing that game. Shot no good, a 10-footer.
I can only imagine the ride home.
Well, I can tell you this, because it was a very odd circumstance. So the trip to Redlands was actually more, you could say awkward, it was just tough.
Yeah.
They came in with title aspirations, and they were ranked pretty high in the preseason rankings, as Cooney loses it, but it's last touched by Piedmont out of bounds. 1:05 to go in this opening half rather. So North Central came in with very high expectations. They went out to Redlands, and this is in 2011. In my freshman year, I was a student at the time. I did not call a single football game. I wasn't around. I called high school football games for WONC, who's the student radio station on campus. Underneath and kicked out. It'll be Anita Sterling with a 3, and that's no good. So that was my first exposure to the team, and they ended up losing that game by 9. I believe it was 37-28. And it was an absolute silent bus ride back to the airport, and a silent airplane ride back to Chicago. I mean, you could hear a pin drop.
I can imagine. I'm sure that was really tough. And you mentioned that Mountain Union game a couple of years ago. You weren't there for that, but
I was there for that.
You were there for that.
I actually called that game on WONC.
Oh, all right. Well,
that was a little different because they knew they had done something they had never done in program history before.
Right.
Somebody had to lose that football game, and it was just unfortunately not them.
Right.
2 makes out of the hands of LaCara Lawson. Makes it a 49-24 score. This is going to be tomorrow, that is, the first playoff game since that Mount Union game. Oddly enough, they missed out the last 2 years. Pickpocketed. McHugh tried to pickpocket the pickpocketer, and the Cardinals eventually steal it away. Near side, McHugh, 3, no good, and the crux of the rim. The putback is up, and it is good. Puts the Cardinals up and over the half-century mark with 28 seconds left to play in the opening half. 51-24 the score.
Well, we mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, but 51 points before halftime, and they're right on schedule for that 100 points that we mentioned. Hasn't been a pretty 51 points, but it's an effective 51 points.
It really is. A foul, and Sterling draws the whistle. So 18 points in the first quarter, 51 with a half a minute to play here in the second.
What I found interesting here is this little nugget is that they're scoring on average every 7 seconds. That's unreal.
Piedmont, meanwhile, 11. 3 from Michaela Reedy is good. Make it 54 points. 7 seconds remaining. That one sent backwards by Reedy. Picked off. Cardinals will have the last shot. Kicked it out. Reedy will need. Oh, she should have taken the 3.
And she does it.
Heimerdinger took it a little too late. And that is how the first half will end. The Cardinals explode in the second half of the second quarter, going from 18 to 54 points, and that's your halftime score, 54-24. We'll step aside. We'll be back for the second half of action from inside Gregory Arena on NCTV 17 in about 13 minutes' time. We'll see you then. Welcome back for the second half of play from Gregory Arena, an NCTV 17 production of Cardinal basketball. 54-24, although the official stat sheet shows 26 points for Piedmont. We'll see if there's a correction there at some point. But right now the scoreboard is what we'll trust, and right now it's 54-24. Piedmont with the offensive board. Story in the first half is the Cardinals' explosion offensively. After an 18-point first quarter and a dry spell for the first 3 minutes of the second quarter, the Cardinals went off and ripped off 36 points in about 6.5 minutes time.
Well, you mentioned that, what they just did offensively, starting after the first quarter, only 1 of 11 from three-point range. They finished the half 10 of 33. So, we've all known that the three-point is the key to the North Central offense, and for them to hit 9 in the second quarter like that, it really got the offense going.
It was an Anita Sterling three midway through that second quarter. It bounced around a couple of times and then finally dropped. And that opened up the floodgates as Sierra O'Neal hit one, Michaela Reedy hit one, and then O'Neal came right back and knocked down her second. All in all, 4 consecutive triples, and the Cardinals were off and running. A carry on Mason Whipple turns the ball over back to Piedmont with the lead at 28. I'd like to remind you of something that I mentioned in the first half that maybe you didn't catch. This Piedmont team was 20-8 a year ago. They were 13-3 in conference play. This is no pushover. And right now the Cardinals are doing a lot of pushing. Not physically, of course.
No, of course not. Although they did have quite a few fouls in that second quarter.
3 from the wing, no good, off the back of the iron. That one's picked away by McHugh on the ground. And the Cardinals will pounce. Near side, a drive to the basket, into the lane, and that is an offensive foul on North Central, Natalie Dimitrova. That is her second personal foul and the team's second already in just 1 minute and 5 seconds of action. Piedmont came out and they had one really good weapon to use. That would be Dakota Sullins, number 25, the 5'11" forward. And Sterling twirls around and passes up a three. She was fairly limited in that first half of play as the basket knocked home by Shannon Ryan, the junior from Naperville, a Naperville Central alum. I think you're a little familiar with that school.
Just a little bit.
Kevin Jackman, Joe Olmo, and Joe is the host of NCTV 17's high school sports show, Naperville Sports Weekly. Covers Naperville North, Central, Bennett Academy, Wabansie, Nequa, and Metea Valley. So yeah, I would say you're familiar with both Shannon Ryan and Jamie Cooney's alma mater, Naperville Central.
And if I read our tweets from our sports contractors correctly, they got a pretty big win earlier tonight at Naperville Central against Plainfield East to start the season.
Carly Shields knocked down a basket. Is that so?
I'm going to go and check right now, so give me a second.
Heimerdinger gets it, jacks up a three. Right side of the rim, no good. Hauled in. And that's Diamond Calicott with the offensive board. Not wearing her typical number this evening. Listed in the program as number 33. She's donning the number 5 jersey tonight. Maybe forgot to do some laundry, although that's not really a good excuse for the first game of the season. The basket is up and good. It's a 56-30 score. And a foul on the floor as Calicott will get to the free throw line. Or, no, they're going to say that's on the floor, so no free throw coming.
So real quickly, just to update what I was saying. Yeah, Naperville Central got the win against Plainfield North, not Plainfield East, 58-48 tonight. So good win to start the season for the Redhawks. And if we want to continue our high school basketball talk right now, Bennett Academy leading Bartlett in their tournament opener, 20-15.
3 from Mason Whipple is off the mark. Will she get another crack at it? No, she'll dish it out. Jamie Cooney from the corner, rims around and no good. Zarante stole it away, but gives it right back. Bennett Academy, of course, having the Illinois High School Basketball Female Player of the Year in Kathleen Doyle a year ago. A nice basket underneath for Piedmont. They lost Doyle, and they're still on their winning ways, it appears.
Yeah, they're winning, but not as.
That's not going to come quite as easy.
Yeah, no. They got their win against St. Ignatius to start the season on Tuesday. Not quite the same win that they had a year ago against the Wolf Pack, but this year, that didn't happen, did it?
What's the rule there? That's an interesting. I've never seen that.
Interesting.
Redo.
Yeah, I guess so. 28 last year.
A couple of free throws, Amari Price. What was that?
28 last year.
They won by?
No, they were up. This team, Piedmont, 28 last year.
Yeah, 20-8. Oh, yeah. Took me a little while.
Well, I mean, no. Let's just get back to North Central here. I mean, this team was 14-12 last year, and for them to come out with, the kind of offensive output they put up so far against a team that was, 28 a year ago, it's going to be a really nice confidence boost for this Cardinals team going forward if they continue to put up points and not give up this lead, which you wouldn't expect them to, but, anything can happen against them in college sports.
The only thing they have to avoid are those game-long dry spurts.
Right.
Because they will be able to endure quarter-long shooting droughts, but a couple of times last year, the well came up completely dry, leaving them almost helpless against some of those CCIW teams. Although they had a big win against Illinois Wesleyan, who at the time was #1 in the conference, here on senior night, giving them some confidence going into the CCIW tournament in which they qualified for the second straight year. But unfortunately, they had to travel. They lost to Illinois Wesleyan to end the season and then lost to Wheaton in the conference tournament. But they only lose a couple of seniors, Kimberly Wilson, Lauren Hernandez, and Erica Buck.
Nice pass.
That one's a nice touch pass out in front. Well done by Carly Shields. Kicked out. 3 taken from the near wing, and that is a beautiful high-arcing release from Shannon Ryan on the three-pointer. 61-35, and a whistle and a travel called on Piedmont. But this team is emerging, I'm speaking of North Central, as somebody that nobody really wants to play. Even the elites don't want to see this team come into their house because it means they're going to be sore the next 3 days. Let's be honest.
We're sore just from broadcasting it.
I mean, honestly, I go back and I put an ice pack on my, no. Back in the radio days when you had to call every pass, boy, was this team difficult. Anita Sterling knocks it away, saves it from going out of bounds, and then sends it to her own bench.
Your wonk brethren.
I will tell you, yeah,
bad for you
those were long nights. 6:22 to go.
Wholesale line change.
Every line change.
Every girl coming in.
At a certain point, you just say, well, there's a new 5 on the floor. You'll figure out who if they score. Basket is short underneath the basket, and it's no good with a foul drawn.
Now, we obviously North Central is going to be flying under the radar to start the season after what they did last year. But, looking at the top 25 preseason poll from D3 Hoops for the women, you got Wheaton College in there at number 21. So, I mean, you're going to see them eventually down the road. If you can get a nice little streak to start the season before you see the Thunder, it'll be nice to find out what you can really do against the top 25 team.
It's going to be interesting because, and as you mentioned that, it dawns on me that there's very few non-conference games to start the season. Piedmont is here tonight, and then they go on the road against 3 teams, Benedictine, Rose Holman, coincidentally, and Manchester, and that'll take up the rest of November. And then to start December, they actually go to 3 conference games in a row. Illinois Wesleyan here at home, and then they travel to Wheaton to take on the Thunder on December 7th.
Yeah, they'll get a real quick find out what this team is made of.
That's about 3 weeks from now. As the free throw made, 1 of 2 off the hands of Anika Cephas. Out of play, last touched by the Lions. So it's the earliest that the conference portion of the schedule has started for North Central in quite some time. And if you've looked at the schedule, you'll notice that there is no Naperville tip-off tournament this year for the first time in at least a decade. Kayla Riddy with the basketball. Near side, Kelly Wallner. Caroline Heimager down low. That one is off. No good. Last touch by the Lions, and that was Diamond Calicott with the shot attempt. So no tip-off tournament. That takes 2 games off the schedule, non-conference opponents, and that was only because of a sponsorship change. And that's a foul on Calicott as she just got a little too physical, trying to clear some space.
She was a little, tough on that layup and coming up a little strong on that pick there. So need to tone it down a little bit, I guess.
5:54 to go, third quarter of play here at Gregory Arena.
But what I notice here, looking at the schedule for the Cardinals, is they're going to have a lot of home games in January and February, late in the season when it matters the most, and that's going to be really nice for Michelle Roof and her Cardinals to get in a rhythm late in the season, as we get ready for tournament time, to find which combinations of 5 girls can play so well together on the court, because you're going to need to, all those home games are going to be really crucial down the stretch, especially when like we mentioned the trip to Hawaii. That's going to take up some time in December, and then you got a trip to Chicago as well for a tournament. So getting those tournaments in the middle of the season and then coming back home, it'll be nice to be at home to finish out your season.
A couple of free throws for Piedmont. Underneath the basket, Calicott with a nice fall-away fader. This is a team that, as I mentioned a moment ago, has qualified for 2 end-of-season conference tournaments in a row. They made it to the NCAA tournament for the first time 2 years ago, missed out last year. But as always, the CCIW might be their stiffest competition. Wheaton, of course, is ranked, but not really showing up in the top 25, but certainly a team that you need to respect is Illinois Wesleyan, who they split last season with. Even Carthage looks like a fairly good team, and I know preseason polls aren't the end-all, be-all by any means.
Right.
But right now it's Wheaton up at the top. They had 7 first-place votes. Illinois Wesleyan with 2 first-place votes comes in second as Zarate goes off the glass and good. 65-38. North Central checks in third with 46 points. Carthage fourth with 43. Elmhurst with 40. And then you have the bottom half of the conference with Carroll joining. They're expected to finish last. It's been a tough season athletically for the Pioneers as Selena Juarez goes hard to the rack, picks up the bucket and the foul. And she's a little gimpy as she gets up, but she will take her free throw. So you look at the conference and you say, well, it's probably going to be top heavy. Maybe 5 teams that'll compete for those 4 spots, and you want to be inside that top 4, obviously.
Of course.
But you'll have some pretty good competition to get there. Part of that is also taking care of business against the bottom half of the conference. You have to win those games against the Carrolls, the Millicans, and the Augustanas.
Right.
Zarate fighting for the offensive board, gets it in the corner, gets it right back after a tip. Cross-court pass, and Grizafi a wide open 3. Skips it off the rim, no good. Zarate cues one up. That's short. Cooney right there for the 3rd offensive board of the possession. Zarate will take it again. No good. Juarez gets pushed out of the way. She's cleared after getting boxed out. And now it's the Lions basketball. 4:30 to play, 3rd quarter. Pass that deflects off the side of the backboard, and a block, but a foul called on Cooney, and she nods in agreement, knowing that she did, in fact, get a piece of the hand.
Now, you kind of mentioned it, you know, playing against the bottom half of your conference, you know, but you don't see Carroll until the beginning of next year, you know, until the beginning of 2017. You know, you get Milliken, you know, early in December, but that'll be maybe good, maybe bad to get some of those late conference matchups with some teams that you should beat. Get that confidence going as the season, you know, winds down.
I think you want a good mix. I don't think you want to have a stretch against opponents that you know you'll beat, and you certainly don't want to stretch against opponents that you know you're going to have your work cut out for you. It probably would work best in your favor, and of course, they have no control over the schedule, but of a nice, you know, trade-off between teams that they're the favorite team and teams that they might be the underdog against.
And I think this year's schedule is going to be nice for North Central because of the fact that they're going to have that trip to Hawaii in the middle of the season. You have no clue what you're going to be expecting as far as the competition goes there, because obviously you haven't been there for a tournament. So that'll help to kind of just go into it and play your own game and not really think about we need to win this game or we should win this game. You know, you're just going to go play, and I think that's what the mindset has to be in every night for North Central, especially after last year going only, you know, 14-12. They don't have anything to lose this year. You know, this team is not expected to win, so why not go surprise a few teams?
Dimitrova will knock it down. 1 of 2 from the free throw line. North Central again featuring the press, and it's broken by Kendra Weeks. Got a couple of green pigtails coming out of the back of the noggin is Weeks. I think that might be an attempt at the forest green that is featured on the Piedmont uniforms, but I've never had an issue with this because I never tried, but I've heard hair dye is kind of a tricky thing.
Yeah, my wife is going to get her hair done tomorrow, so I can ask her about that. And she told me, actually, it takes her 4 hours to get her hair done. I can't even imagine sitting in the chair for more than a half hour to get my hair cut.
No, thank you. That one rims in and out, no good. Sterling bounces it back towards play. Weeks picks it up, and then Cooney comes away with it. Take that back. It is not Cooney, that is instead Dimitrova. Sterling left alone, near side wing, rims it around and good. Boy, that's the second time she's got the benefit of the doubt from behind the arc. And a foul on the run.
Just a little home cooking, a little friendly home bounce, right? Get those once in a while.
71-39.
And if I remember correctly, last time something like that happened for Sterling,
bode well for the rest of them.
quite a few more threes went down after that.
Both teams now into bonus in the third quarter, 3:42 to play. Weeks at the free throw line. Good turnout here tonight for the opening match, considering the fact that there's a very popular man next door in the Res Rec Center, and that's Bernie Sanders, the politician from Vermont. He's speaking to the North Central crowd. And I mentioned this in the first half, and it was right as you arrived. There was a line around Res Rec that doubled back and up the hill leading down to the athletic campus. That is how many people showed up to see the senator from Vermont.
They were still heading into the Res Rec as I was coming in to
And that
Gregory
was after
Arena.
7, which I think is when the event started. That three for the Cardinals. Walls with her second triple of the night. And now she tries to get back, and she forces an errant shot, although the follow-up is good for Jasmine Lawrence. Nice job by Walls to get back in time to at least force a miss. 3 minutes to play. O'Neal sends it out to Heimerdinger, bottom of the net. And once again, Sterling has kick-started a run of three-pointers. 3 straight knocked down for North Central. And who's that last touch by? It's last touch by the Lions. 77-42. It's tough to try and keep up with the scoreboard right here. Scores come fast and furious, and then it just dries up. And then it gets back to that frantic pace again. Well, this is the official signal of the winter sports season. Wrestling has had a couple of meets already. One successful, one very difficult one. They traveled to Northwestern and took on the Wildcats, a Division I opponent. That one is a miss from O'Neill, or Zarate rather. Lions break the full court press. Nice cut to the basket. Cooney able to get a hand on it. Couldn't get a hand on the follow-up. 77-42 with 2:40 to play here in the third quarter. Three from the wing. Clinks off the back of the orange part. No good. And now a three for the Lions. And that one will drop. That'll even things out a little bit in the luck department. Three coming from Shields. 77-47. Tipped out of bounds, and that's off Zarate's hand, and a line change for the Cardinals. They also lose, by the way, Therese Peterson, who is a student that came from Sweden, and she has opted instead to travel the country, and I can't exactly say I blame her, but she was a vital player last year. Only a junior, she did have a year of eligibility left, but decided to forego it and enjoy the open country.
Why not? You're now, from around these parts, get a chance to see what the United States is all about.
Wallner a three, right side of the rim, no good, and a push-off foul over the back called against Dimitrova. And free throws will be shot with 1:29 to play in the third quarter by the Lions.
Now, you mentioned the wrestling team for North Central. I know that they were really excited about the fact that they were able to add that Northwestern meet to their schedule, because being a D1 opponent, being what Northwestern is on the wrestling mats, you got to think that even though things probably didn't go as that they would have liked, the experience of taking on that kind of quality of an opponent really has to help them as the season goes on.
Well, you take a look at their very next effort as the free throw is missed. 1 of 2 at the line. They went to a trying invite, and it's not a tournament play in the sense that it's team scores. That one off the back of the rim, no good, and Wallner pulls down the board. Collision underneath the basket, and last touch by the Lions. So they go to trying, and they can wrestle as many people as they want, as many times as they want, and they finish with 3 first-place finishers in their weight class, and 8 out of the 10 finish in the top 3 of their weight class. So depth was very good. Performances were much better. And you almost wonder if that barometer early in the season will spur them to new heights. They had 3 national qualifiers last year. One of them graduated in Josh Tardy. Leighton Binion and Ben Williamson are back. So they have a pretty good team. And Amante Logan, who we've had on the red zone a few times over the last 2 years, he's a defensive tackle for the football team. He'll come in and he'll wrestle at the 258 weight class. And I got to tell you, looking at him across the mat must be the most intimidating thing, because that guy's a monster. He is really just a tenacious competitor.
Now, I have to, excuse my ignorance here, but is DJ Workenthien going to be on the
He
wrestling?
is not. He will not be on the wrestling team. He did wrestle at Neuqua Valley. He's an outside linebacker for the football team, but he's putting those wrestling skills to good use, I can tell you that.
We've seen it quite a few times.
8 sacks on the season, and he doesn't play every snap on defense, but he certainly makes an impact. And, boy, those football guys glow when they talk about number 6 on defense. Calicut with the miss. 1:05 to go, third quarter, 78-48. Way too strong off the glass, but the offensive board pulled down by the Lions. They just seem out of sorts as that shot blocked by Sierra O'Neill.
You said this earlier that, this game here tonight is the unofficial kickoff of the winter sports, but we do have, still a couple fall sports, obviously with the football team doing what they're doing, but, the men's cross country team also is finishing up their season. and you gotta they have to like their chances going to nationals.
That one tipped out of bounds by Heimerdinger. You have to, because there's a couple of things. One, well, flat out, they're pretty good.
I'd say so.
They swept the podium at the conference meet, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which I believe they've done before, but the fact that they have freshmen and sophomores in that starting 7 is pretty impressive. The 3, no good, but a foul, and Calicut draws it underneath the basket, so she'll shoot free throws. So they went 1 through 7 in the conference meet. Then they placed all 7 in the top 25 of the regional meet this past weekend. And many believe the Midwest region to be the strongest, with teams like Oshkosh and, well, most of the Wisconsin schools, to be honest. Ian Lemire won the meet. Not a North Central guy, but Zach Plank, just 18 seconds behind him, took second. And from there is Dhruval Patel and Ethan Adelfinger. And, I mean, the list goes on and on. You could list off all 7 guys, but it's a deep, it's a young, and it's a really talented team.
And I think after last year's 4th place finish, fifth place finish, excuse me, they were want to come back and prove that North Central is still the standard bearer in men's cross country Division III.
Corner 3, no good. Another offensive board. A lot of offensive rebounds for both teams tonight. Defensive rebounding certainly has not been the strong suit for either team, and Whipple gets fouled on the steal attempt. Lions were hoping for a jump ball, and they won't get it with 14 seconds left. You talk about last year, and we had a chance to cover this 2 weeks ago on the Cardinal Corner, talking with some of the captains, and Zach Plank and Ethan Adelfinger and Dan O'Keefe, as well as Al Baldonado, a couple of underclassmen, and they wouldn't admit that last year fuels them, but they came pretty close to saying it by, and especially the words of Zach Plank, he ensured that the team ran together, because last year they got separated in the national meet. There was a big collision, people fell down. Plank finished inside the All-American status. His teammates did not, and he did everything in his power to ensure that that would not happen again, as that one's thrown out of bounds with 8.4 seconds to go here in the third. 80-48 your score. North Central on top. If you want to check out that feature, you can head to nctv17.com. Here's Zarante, throws up a left-handed shot. From our angle, I thought that was going in. It goes off to the right. The Cardinals will finish the third with 80 points up on the board. Piedmont, 48. And the clock is running right now. I don't think they mean to have that happen. I know there's a thing like running clocks in sports, but not when the teams are in a break.
I would think not. I would hope not. That would be kind of unfair.
To finish that thought on the cross-country team, it's tomorrow, the national meet, down in Louisville, Kentucky. The Cardinals are the heavy favorites, ranked number 1 in the country in Division III, and they get a chance to show it. And the meet, I believe, will be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we'll keep you up to date on that. The football game is at noon.
Yep.
So we'll have an opportunity to tell you the results as they come in of the cross-country team during the course of that football broadcast. It is actually 11 o'clock, so we'll know the results before we even flip on the mics tomorrow. I thought it was 1 o'clock. It is 12 Eastern, which is 11 Central Time.
Gotcha.
But it is in Louisville, Kentucky at Sawyer State Park. Should be a good time. Hopefully much better weather than what we are anticipating tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
40 and windy. A low of 23 degrees around these parts. The first snow expected, I believe.
I was on camera last week for that game. I do not envy anybody that is on camera tomorrow.
It is a bit of a wind tunnel at Benedetti Worley Stadium, and there's expected to be a lot of wind. Fourth quarter has officially started. Jamie Cooney with the 3. Aim off just to the right. Piedmont, a lot of work cut out for them as they begin this final quarter. And Solons fought to get a jump ball, but the Cardinals will get it after the Piedmont Lions took it to start the quarter. Some of your stat leaders through 3 quarters. Let's head first to North Central. Leading scorer, Anita Sterling with 13, and that's no surprise. She has lit it up from behind the arc, 4 of 6 from the floor, 3 of 4 from 3, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. Shot, no good, but a foul. Sterling also with 4 rebounds and a couple of steals. After that, Whipple and Shannon Ryan both tied with 9 points apiece. And then is what is typical of North Central women's basketball. There's a bevy of players with between 2 and 5 points. Brazafi, Cooney, Wars, Zarante, Heimerdinger, Calicut, Brennan, Reedy, Lavia, Dahl, O'Neill, Dimitrova, Walls have all scored.
But the one stat that you also don't mention is Jamie Cooney with the 4 offensive boards and 4 defensive boards. So she's leading the team with 8 boards through 3 quarters. You mentioned that the offensive boards haven't been there, but she's making sure she cleans up on the glass when she can.
Led the team a year ago, and certainly a very good rebounder as Sterling gets fouled on her way to the rack. 8:50 to play, fourth quarter. Sterling, a strong performance tonight. And it's the kind of thing that they'll need from her on a consistent basis. There was some talk about maybe moving her down to the 3rd line to try and anchor that group, but she's in with the 2nd unit, and it's looked awfully good tonight. It's almost like, it really is almost like a hockey team.
Yeah.
You have lines, you have skill sets on those lines, and you need to make sure that each of them have chemistry. And you even talk about the conventional way of playing. Most teams, and the men's team is this way, 8 players are in the rotation, maybe 9 if you feel like you're deep. But those players aren't consistently playing with the same 5 because you have only 8 or 9 players. As Heimerdinger lets one go and drains the 3. 85-50. So I can imagine it's more difficult to do it in the conventional way, but these players, while they might have difficulty finding a rhythm shooting-wise, they know who they're going to be next to.
Well, right. I mean, we can say that they have it. Now, as the game goes on, they'll end up getting that rhythm because they are, with the same group of girls throughout the game. So, they know where you're going to be, what the tendencies of each player is as far as spacing on the court. So throughout the game, maybe at the beginning of the game you're not going to have your rhythm, but come 4th quarter, you know where you have to be, and they know what you want to do as far as shooting-wise, where you like the ball to be thrown to, how if you prefer bounce pass or not. It's really the intricacies of how Ruth has set up this offense and set up her program.
Thrown out. Piedmont with the basketball underneath the basket. And the shot skips off the front of the rim, no good. A fight for it on the floor, and a traveling violation on the lines. Michelle Roof and her assistant coach, Doug Porter, have done a really good job. They inherited a bunch of players that were very good. The Bobby Johns and Marissa Cladis's, and even go back a little ways, Tess Godhart, who graduated 2 years ago. A very good team, but they didn't necessarily fit this new style. So this team is actually the first that I believe has run the same offense for the last 4 years. I'm almost positive that this system has been in place for 4 years. So these players are now accustomed to it, and they have never known anything different, at least at the collegiate level.
Right. And now that we mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, only 4 seniors on this roster, you're going to have an entire fresh new group of girls, or women, to work with over those next 4 years to really continue to implement this system as the future of North Central women's basketball continues.
Program is showing signs of really promising futures. Nice 18-foot jump shot knocked down by Kelly Ackerman, a freshman guard from Logansville, Georgia. 3 from Grizafi. Well, that'll one-up her. 88-52, 7:30 to play, fourth quarter. I think it should have been an offensive foul, but no whistle as Wallner gets slapped around a couple of times after corralling the defensive board.
Yeah, Whipple is looking over at the ref like, are you gonna
Really?
blow that whistle?
Really?
I'm pretty sure that was a foul. But I think in the fact that it's a 36-point game, just let's play.
Let's play. I'm good with that. 7:15 to go, fourth quarter. Lindsey Brennan with the basketball. Brennan, a freshman from Trenton, Michigan. Woodhaven, the high school she attended. Sterling can't get that one to go. She's been awfully good tonight from distance. Tracked down by Carly Sales underneath, and that's a bad shot attempt. Pushed ahead, and a wide open layup will not go for Natalie Dimitrova.
I wanted her to dunk it.
Candace Parker style. 3 for Sales is good on the wing. 88-55. Out. The shot, no good. Ryan trying to go for the 3. Lone man back is McHugh. That shot no good. The putback follow-up is no good as well. Sterling the board. Sterling showing off the handles, gets it ahead. Brennan, cross court. And a foul. McHugh will draw, and Ackerman picks it up.
Now what I kind of find interesting, or not interesting, but what I like about the system here for North Central and the way that they constantly are changing out players, you know, there isn't just the end of the bench players that don't get much time. You know, maybe in a blowout like this where they would be able to play the entire 5 minutes, you know, 6 minutes left of this game. You know, everyone's constantly playing, everyone's constantly fresh. So there's not, you know, 5 guys, women, that are sitting on the bench waiting for their turn to play. You know, they get a chance to come out there and play throughout the game.
Kayla Reedy with a 3. Shot is short and to the right, no good. Reedy has been on the mark tonight as well. 3 of 7 from distance. Make it that 3 of 8. Putback attempt no good. And the ball finally pulled away by Piedmont. Long pass finds its way into the hands of Shyler Miller. Reedy the board on the air ball. At this point, if I was Piedmont, I don't think I'd be able to see straight.
This has been quite the back and forth fourth quarter. A little bit more so than the first 3, I think. A little bit quicker.
Pretty heavy running wise.
Yeah.
Back and forth and quick shots early in the shot clock.
Now we mentioned earlier, you know, how many shots this team puts up, North Central does.
Grizafi, a laser off the back of the ring.
And we talked about the field goal percentage not being there. They're shooting 33% right now for the game, which is not very good. Maybe, you know, in baseball, 1 for 3 is great. But
basketball, not so much.
Basketball, not so much. But yet they've scored 91 points.
It's a complete contradiction.
They're going to score a lot more than that with 5 minutes to go still.
Cooney pulls it down. I will never forget. Here comes Whipple up the floor, kicks it out. Grizafi another 3.
That was nice in transition. She had her feet planted, set to go. That's exactly what you want to see out of this kind of offense. Just make sure your shooter's set up and have the hands ready to shoot at all times.
Juarez traveled before she put the shot up. Couldn't find the basketball in her pocket. I will never forget the first time that North Central cleared 100 points, because it was the biggest thing. It was, what? They put up 100 points, and then all of a sudden it was, they only scored 102 tonight?
Now, I remember seeing a couple of those last year, getting a chance to be on the broadcast with you. When was the first time, I guess, that they put up 100?
I want to say 2013.
Okay,
13, 14.
definitely-
Yeah, it would be 13. This is the 4th year of the offensive system. Yeah.
So 2013, are you on the one call? No, that was,
I don't believe I was on the call. I believe it was actually on the road.
Okay.
Could actually go back. Beauty of the internet. But it was a big deal, and people actually were talking about it almost as if you'd talk around the water cooler the next day.
Easy.
Basket's up and good, an easy layup for Ryan. People were saying, my oh my, look at that. It's a hundo. Picked off again for the Cardinals, and that's Jessica Dahl. Lefty layup, no good. Tipped around, and Sterling the last to touch.
Is it just because it's D3 women's basketball that, 100 points? Or, I mean.
It had never happened before, I don't think, in Cardinal history.
Okay.
Into the game for the Cardinals, number 34, Megan
I take that
Sellers.
back. The first year that this was implemented was in 2012. So this must be the 5th year in the system. And they put up 102 points on December 12th. And I was not at this game. It was against the Milwaukee School of Engineering. They won 102-49. I mean, that's about as dominant as you get. And all of a sudden you thought, wow. And the next game they scored 110. And then they scored 104 against Goucher College. 105 against Augustana. 101 in a loss, or rather in a win against North Park. 105 points given up to Carth. This team it was a crazy year. Nobody expected it. Nobody knew it was coming. And then when it came, everyone was like, what? Shot no good. Follow up from McHugh. Not good either, but a foul called. The year before, so they went 13-13 that season with that new style of offense. The year before, they were 7-18. They made the switch. They were 13-13 the next season. They were 11-14 the year after that. And then in 2014, the best year in school history by far, they went to the NCAA tournament. They went to the conference tournament on the strength of a 22-6 record. They were 10-4 in conference play. Nobody knew what hit them that year. Their losses came in conference to Wheaton twice. Carthage and Elmhurst beat them once each. They beat Elmhurst in the conference tournament, then they lost to Wheaton a third time, went to the conference tournament, or into the NCAA tournament, and lost to the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh 87-82. Best year in program history by far. That'll be a foul called on the Cardinals, and I believe this will mean free throws for Piedmont. It will, with 2:47 to play.
2 years, a full year removed from that team. Last year, record-wise, doesn't go so well, but you do
14-12. Yeah.
You do put up 94.5 points per game, leading the nation in scoring. Obviously, that's something that the 2014 team didn't do. So it may not have been record-wise what you wanted to see out of this team last year, but obviously from that point forward, this team has found an identity and has found the players to implement this program that Coach Roof wants to run and gun, basically. And you don't expect it, or you don't know what to expect, I guess, from this season, but you have to have high hopes, especially the way that they've pretty much just dominated this team from Piedmont, a team that put up 20 wins a year ago.
15 games over 500 over the last 4 years for Michelle Roof's group. And I mentioned 7-18 the year before, so it's a sharp turnaround. And you usually don't see that under the same coach.
Right.
A total shift in philosophical system. 97 points. The Cardinals are knocking on the door of that century mark that we've been talking about. 97-59. This is the second.
Wouldn't it be fitting for a three-pointer to hit that 100?
Oh, usually it is. It's the case. If I was a betting man, that's what I would put my money on. Out of bounds off of Piedmont, and here it comes. I'm going to say that hitting this three will be Jordan Bradley, number 23. No, not in this possession at least. Bradley hasn't scored tonight. We'll see if she can get on the board. There's a nice baseline play.
I'll just stick with Reedy. How about that?
Reedy, I don't believe, is on the floor. That would be really tough. That'd be really impressive.
She'll score next possession.
O'Neal goes one-on-one. Spins and puts up a shot. No good.
Unless she doesn't come in.
Here it is. Bradley for three. Thought it was going to happen. Foul on the floor. That'll mean free throws for somebody.
Oh, she's not coming in either.
And it'll be free throws for the Cardinals.
All right, so
no, Reedy will not be at the scorer's table.
Nope. I meant Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, she's going off the floor anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Minute 46 to play. Before we leave, big thanks to our sports director and producer tonight. That's Justin Cornwell to the right of us on camera. Putback is up and good. So we will not have a three-pointer to break the century mark. We could, but it won't hit it exactly. Also want to thank Caleb Donaldson back at the NCTV 17 studios for a smooth night, technically. As smooth as you can have it with the two of us on the call.
It's never smooth.
A bit choppy at times. Make sure your seatbelt is fastened at all times.
You just never know where it's going to go.
99-61.
Now, if I may, because
no.
I am, I'm going to anyway, because I am the NSW host, Naperville Sports
Shameless
Weekly,
plug.
Absolutely. We do have Bennett football tomorrow afternoon. Our man Gabriel McDonough will be reporting from that game for us. And that will be a big one because that is the 7A state semifinals. And
who are they taking on?
They will be playing East St. Louis, who is 12-0, excuse me.
3 for Walner, rims around no good.
With a All-American wide receiver on their roster. So it will be quite the challenge for the Red Wings, but they are at home. So that is, always the advantage, especially with the conditions the way that they're supposed to be tomorrow.
There's the century mark, and it's Lindsey Brennan with the bucket and a whistle called.
So the fact that tomorrow's weather report is not good, maybe the fact that they won't, Bennett's defense is just unreal. They force turnover after turnover, at least 3 a game, I feel like. And maybe the passing game for East St. Louis won't be there, which would be nice. The Flyers do put up a lot of points, but Bennett also doesn't allow a lot of points. So tomorrow's going to be quite the contrast in styles. It's going to be up to, I think, the play of 3-year starter quarterback Jack Snyder and whether or not he can get the offense going, because we know that they can run the ball and we can know that they play defense. He's going to have to make some plays with his arm.
Should be a lot of fun to watch. It won't be carried live, the bucket and the foul for Piedmont.
We will have the highlights on nctv17.com, hopefully that night, if not Sunday morning.
In the wee hours of Sunday.
Wee hours of Sunday morning, yes.
101-66 after the bucket. The free throw coming from Jasmine Lawrence.
We also have, don't want to miss this either, we have state girls swimming and diving finals. Today is the first round of the state swimming and diving finals, prelims, I guess you can say. If you make it out of the top 12 of that, you move on to the Saturday finals. Ryan Risky, one of our other sports contractors, will also be there, not live, but reporting from there.
That'd be a long live day.
Oh boy, but So he'll be reporting with hopefully some tweets as well to let us know, the fans, what's going on. But that'll be fun. You know, not sure what to expect from the girls swimming and diving finals tomorrow, but we will have the highlights as well on nctv17.com.
And if you want to follow those two events live time, you can follow us on Twitter at nctv17. You can see it on the scoreboard on the right side at the bottom of your screen. 13 seconds left. The Cardinals still not letting up on the gas. 101-67. Ball stripped away. 5 seconds left on the clock. Piedmont will take the final shot. No good. And the contest is in the books. An opening night win for the North Central Cardinals over Piedmont College, who came all the way from Georgia.
Not Alabama.
101-67 the final. Cardinals win their opening match by 34 points. From here, it is on to the road for 3 games. They will travel to Lisle for a matchup with Benedictine on the 22nd, and then back-to-back games in Chicago against Rose-Hulman and Manchester University before returning home on December 3rd against Illinois Wesleyan here to Gregory Arena to open up conference play. We cannot leave without mentioning and reminding, tomorrow opens up the Division III NCAA college football playoffs, and the opening round commences at Benedetti Worley Stadium with the North Central Cardinals hosting the Rose-Hulman Fighting Engineers, and that game comes at noon. The pregame begins at 11:45 with Grant Sable and myself. We hope you join us for that exciting matchup of Cardinal football. Joe, a lot of fun tonight. I want to thank you, Caleb, and Justin. It was a fun night. We'll be back on December 3rd for more Cardinal basketball. We hope you join us then as well. Until then, we say so long on NCTV 17 and NCTV17.com.